Hello everyone, it's Varun here. Today we are going to guide you how to set up the rain theme, and it will be a long video. The purpose of this video is to give you a complete overview of the rain theme options, what we have, and how we can extend further more features. Starting with the fresh WordPress installation, it is a fresh WordPress installation, nothing there. And the first thing I'm going to do is to upload the rain theme file. Rain theme support the BuddyPress plugin, BuddyBoss platform plugin, and for the Pipso plugin as well. So you are free to choose any of these community platform to utilize our theme. After the theme activation, by default we are going to use the BuddyPress plugin or the BuddyBoss platform. First of all, in this current setup, I'm going to use the BuddyPress plugin. The plugins what we are suggested here to use is the Elementor for the page builder, and we also offer a demo installer for the rain theme, and there's an essential plugin for the which contain couple of wizards for the Elementor and some page templates which may help you to create the page templates and the sections for your websites. Once these plugins will be installed, you can activate them, and right now there's no BuddyPress installed. We have just installed the rain theme. The next step of what I'm going to do is install the BuddyPress. You are already getting that one on the first page. Okay, once the BuddyPress is installed, you just have to go and activate all the component. I have activated all the component, and once all the components are activated, we just have to say make sure the permalink is not the default one. So I'm just setting a permalink as a post name, so in that way our pages are accessible. Once the BuddyPress installed, theme is going to recommend two more plugins. These are bundled with the plugin bundles with the theme, so you can install these two also. First plugin is activity share or the social share functionality, and the second plugin is also giving you a functionality like to react with icons. Up to so far, we had just installed the theme and the recommended plugin along with the BuddyPress. After these things are done, I'm just going to give you a complete overview how to do the branding of the theme and do the page mapping for the registration section or the login section. Inside the theme, first thing what we are going how it will look like, we had not configured anything yet, so this is the first layout what you're getting here. You can change the logo, you can replace it with a logo, you have to set a menu here, and that's it. There could be a drop down, there could be a panel. Okay, so first thing what we are going to do is to create a menu section. Okay, we have the menu section ready for the primary section, and we are going to create a new menu from the user drop down, or you can say that a user profile. For that section, there's a screen option on the top, and there's a BuddyPress member. You have to enable it. Once it is enabled, you have all these menu options which are based on who is logged in. So when someone is clicking on the activity, they will be landed to their personal activity field, their personal profile, like that. So I'm going to select all, and it will be included as a drop down menu for the header. And there's a one more menu section. We are going to use that one for the panel. By default, I'm going to use the BuddyPress menu sections for the panel. You are completely free to change any of them by default. Okay, now after making these changes, we have a top navigation section. There's a user drop down here, and there's a panel section here. Currently we have set all these default icon based on what the class we are getting for these individual one. You can replace it with your own choice of icon. So suppose that I have to remove it and select it a different icon, you can select these icons from all these libraries, and there's a big library section here, so you're completely free to make any choices there and apply the same pattern of icon to all the menu items what we have included. Okay, so at present we have menu sections ready and the user drop down ready. The next what I'm going to do is to configure this header area, what options we are getting, and how the activity. Right now you can see that activity is coming as a full width, the group section is coming as a full width. So we are going to modify these sections and put a sidebar there. So we have to edit these pages first. Edit. Inside the ream we are giving options like you can select the panel, like how you are going to display it. So by default we have these options here. So you can select, suppose that you have to display both sidebar here, so you can select both sidebar. And for the right sidebar, for the left sidebar, you have to select your own sidebar. And for the groups, it is a group index page, so we are going to select the group index one for the right sidebar, and for the left one you can keep a common sidebar or the default left sidebar like this one. Same settings we are going to apply on the activity page. We are trying to keep that as a both sidebar. For the right sidebar we are going to use the activity index, it is the activity page, and for the left sidebar we are going to use the left sidebar. Okay, these are the primary pages, that's why I'm applying them manually. Both sidebar, member index. We have created dedicated sidebar for each component what we have, and that's why we have to apply them once. Okay, now we had applied the sidebar section, and we also have to assign couple of widgets to these sections, so they start displaying in the manner what we are expecting there. So for the widget sections we are offering these widget areas like group index, member index, group single page, and the member profile page, and the activity index. You just have to put some widgets there. We had populated couple of widgets. It is just for the representation view. You are completely free, like when you are going to activate couple of more plugins, you will have more widgets, so based on those widgets you can activate those sections. So the activity page will look like this one. For the group page will display like this one. Currently you can see that the width is little bit less. You can increase these widths from the customization settings. We are jumping to that area now. Inside the customizer, first of all we are going to start with the general settings what we have. You can configure all the typography section from here. If you want to use the font awesomes, you can enable it. If you want to disable it, suppose that you are using a core plugin which already loading the font awesome, you can disable it. For the body font, you can configure it as per your call. The custom taxonomy, if you want to enable it, you can completely disable it. All the font loading what we are doing from the theme. If you want to use all the custom CSS inside, like all the sections what we are using, you want to use your own font with a different source, you can completely disable it. And if it is enabled, then you can select a font family from the Open Web class or the Google font classes, and once they are saved, all the sections will be using the same font what you have configured there. The next is the layout, the site loader. If you want to enable it, by default we try to keep that disabled. And for the width point of view, you can increase the site width from here, and you can also control the sidebar width from here. We're normally keeping these settings like almost 1320 for the width and for the 25% for the these sections like this one. And you can also enable a global border radius. Suppose that if you want to make them a little bit more smooth, Then you can also apply a global border radius like 5%. So these are the default settings we are going to use on any page on the general layout section. For the page mapping, we can create a new page for the login. We can also create a registration page. We can also create a page and map it for the 404 page. By default, there is a no login page created and the registration page is also disabled. So we have to go and create a new login page. And to enable the registration, first of all, we have to go to the general setting and we have to make sure this anyone can register option is enabled. Once this option will be enabled, there is a change inside the BuddyPress setting. If you go there, now you can see that pages option. So it will automatically create these two pages, register and activate. Once these pages will be created, you can map this register page to the register section. And for the login page, we still have to create a login page. By default, if we have not created a login page, it is going to use the default WordPress login. wp-login.php. I'm going to create this page as a Elementor section. If you remember, we had installed a Webcom Essential plugin, which is going to include login section here. We have some couple of ready-made template here. We are just going to use those templates for the login one. So you can see that we have a couple of sections for each and every one type. There's a login section, and suppose that if you want to display your login like this one, you just have to click on that one or insert it. This page is created, and you have to make sure you are going to use the Elementor full width because there is no requirement for the sidebar, and publish it. This visit what we are offering here, it is coming like this one, and you can keep that login redirect to the profile page by default, custom login URL, or you can also put a title there, and if you want to include some description for the login box, you can also include that one. These title and the login description will be displayed when the person is not logged in. Currently I'm logged in, the UI will look like this one, and when someone is using this login box, they will be redirected to their profile page automatically after the login. So the login page, once published, it is displayed like this one for the login user, and for the logout, I will display using incognito mode. This is the UI for the login page when you are not logged in. So you can use this interface, or you can also make it a little bit more advanced. So use this canvas mode. In that way, any restriction will not be displayed. So it will look like this one. You have like plain login page like this one. Okay, and now back to the login page again. So we have created a login page. We have created a register page. Now I'm going to use this inside the customizer setting. Okay, inside the general, go to the page mapping and login, register. When we are going to map these pages, the buttons what we are getting on the top, they are also going to send us to the same pages. So inside the incognito, when someone is landing on your home page and they are going to hit on the login button, so they are landing to the same login page and the same register page what we have mapped inside the page mapping. Okay, so I think these two will be clear, like login page and the register page are mapped, so it will also control the login and the register button what we are getting after the inside the logout mode. Okay, next is the sign in pop-up. We have also enabled a functionality where you can display the login and the register option as a pop-up. So once it is enabled, the login page what we have created, that is not going to be used, and it will be display login as a pop-up option. And it also support a custom shortcode. Suppose that if you're using third-party plugin which offers their own login shortcode, you can also use that option. So by default, the login page the pop-up what we are getting, you can also use that pop-up to redirect to a profile page or the activity page based on after their login action is completed. Same for the register action. you can also send them like once they are registered, they can stay on the same page, so they can verify their email ID and then log into the website. For the login and the registration, we have 3 more for the register, like there's a basic, standard and extended. In the basic form, we are going to display the first name, last name and the username, including email ID and the password for the basic registration form. For the standard one, it is going to use your profile fields, what we are going to use inside the sign up fields. Plus in the extended mode, you can include all those fields what you are planning to include in your base field, and they will be enabled there. So you can try these options one by one. First of all, we are going to use as a standard one, and you can also enable and bypass the activation email. Couple of we are getting lots of tickets inside the BuddyPress.org support forums, like they are not receiving activation mail. So if you want to disable that one, you can also disable it. Ideally, if you are using a good SMTP protocol for the sending emails, you are getting all those emails. Okay, and we have to enable both by default, like in that way the sign in will display as a pop-up for the both of them. So when we have the both form disabled, it will work for the login and the register, both of them. Trying to open inside the incognito mode again. So now we have the login button. It will display the login pop-up, and now you can see that it also toggled to the registration section where you have the basic fields, username, your email, name, password, and the confirm password. Now we are going to toggle these options, like what option we are going to use as an extended one. So by default, if you go to the user section, profile fields, by default BuddyPress have only one field, name, and it is added for the section as a primary sign-up field. So I'm going to use a plugin to create a default dummy data. This plugin create couple of members and the groups too, and once those members will be there, then we can demonstrate in more better way. And all the member what we are going to create using this plugin, they can be deleted in one click, so that's not going to mess up with your website member database like that one. So you can use these one for the testing purpose. Once all those testing is done, you can delete all this data what is created by this plugin. So first of all, I'm going to import all the users with their couple of activities. Once the members are activated, we are going to create couple of groups. And once you are done testing, you just have to jump to these settings and hit on this button, clear BuddyPress data. Okay, now we have couple of more fields inside the profile fields. So now you can see that there is a single field, multiple field, and the sign up field. And inside the sign up, we have this field for the suppose that if you have to move any of these fields to the sign up field, I'm going to create a new field. Let's say multi-line text area, and I'm going to use it as a sign up field also, just to check how it is going to display. Okay, and I'm just going to use the extended option for it. General setting, sign up pop-up. So inside the extended field, what we are getting here, like they are going to fill up those fields what we have selected there. Once they fill those fields, that will be redirected to the same default BuddyPress registration field, and all those values what we have included on the registration form as a pop-up, that will be auto populated on the register page. So it will look like this one. On the register page, we have the basic field sections like username, password, and name, because only the name field we have included on the sign up section. So you have to go with the username. Suppose that I'm going to include Vafarun1 +1 at gmail.com. So with the extended form approach, when I'm hitting on the complete registration registration, then it will send me to the same register form which is created by default, and it will auto populate those values what we have included there. And this is just to help you to start your registration page in a pop-up, and then you can complete the additional field what you have as extended field there. And by default I would suggest to use the standard approach or the basic approach. In that way you can easily create your users, and then they can fill those additional field later on after the sign up. So this is the approach what we have created for the sign in pop-up. And we have to make sure, if you are going to display the pop-up for both of them, you have to make sure enable these both options. You can also enable the pop-up only for the login or register, making these choices. Okay, the next one is the dark mode option. I will explain that one after the giving you more clear idea on the color scheme. We will get back again after the checking the color scheme options. Next is the site identity. Site identity is a section where you're going to include your logo, or that once a logo is uploaded, these titles, the tagline is not going to display. And you can also put a site icon which is going to display on the browser favicon here. And next is the header section. By default we are offering these options for the header, like you can display logo on the top, and we are giving the different hover sections for the menus like this one. And there's one more style for it where all these hover icon display in the different pattern. And we have also created different hover styles, so it's completely your call which style you are going to use. You can take a look of this one which fits more closely to your website. You can opt that option. And for the menu one, there's the option like enable more menu drop down in the header section. So suppose that if you have more than menu which are not covering up in their section, so it will automatically display more option, and the other menu items will display as a drop down here. Okay, and these icons what we have enabled here is based on, if you want to keep them, you just have to keep them visual, and if you want to hide them, you just have to click on these icons, and then that functionality will be disabled from there. Okay, by default obviously you are going to create a community platform, so these are things what you are planning to keep on your website. You can also reorder them based on your requirement. There's a drag and drop option, so you can easily use these options to rearrange these icons. The next is after the header section, there's a sticky menu section. Suppose that you are scrolling down your website, this menu is going to display on the top, and you can also style it with the different options what we are provided here. So you can also set a background color, title color, and if you want to display a different logo header, sticky logo for it, so you can also use it from there. And all these color schemes can also be applied on for the different color scheme can also be applied for this sticky menu. And once you are going to configure the sticky menu, you have to go to the top toolbar section. So currently we have just put some sample data. If you want to display it, you can keep using the same one. You just have to alter the telephone number, email ID, or the social links what we have included here. So you can also include additional social links, just clicking one more like this one, and you can remove any of them. Suppose that you have only 2 social links, you can easily remove them. Just extend and click on the remove functionality. So it's completely your call. So you can include more text areas like this one, add new, include the title, icon, or the link, or remove it. And if you want to completely disable this top toolbar, you just have to hit on this option and the complete toolbar will be disabled. Publish. The next one is mobile menu. Currently how website is looking in the mobile, we are offering 3 layout on that one. So first is we are displaying these icons just to make it little bit less crowded as a second row. So the search is going to display like this one, the notification are going to display like this one, and there's one more layout where we are going to display these icons on the bottom of the page, on the top of the page like this one, just like your desktop view. The third one, we are going to display these icons and keep the logo center, and these one are going to display on the bottom of the page like this one. Okay, so it's completely your call which layout you are planning to use for your community. By default you can go with a layout 1 or layout 2, it's completely your call. And once the mobile menu is configured, there's a left panel. It's completely your call how you are going to display this left panel. Based on your website is RTL, then you can display it on the right side or the left sides like this. So you can control the position of the panel. The next is the subheader. We have also sections on pages, or the custom post type, or the blog post. There's including a section subheader. You can enable to display breadcrumb, to display some image background like that. So you can enable it or disable it globally for all the sections. Like by this option, this subheader section will be globally disabled. Okay, and the next is the color scheme. By default, we are coming up with a couple of color schemes. Like you can try it quickly. The live review will display like how the site will look like with these color schemes. These are just a preset style. Once you apply these styles, you can still make changes to those color schemes and use accordingly. So it's not like it's a completely rigid color scheme you have to forcefully apply on that one. You are completely free to make any color scheme of your own. If you are planning to use your own color scheme, just start with a clean and then make changes inside the clean style to match with your branding and all those things. And we also have a dark mode option. So we had set a color scheme for the dark mode. So when you are planning to use this dark mode color scheme, you can make a change it, and once this dark mode option is enabled or disabled, then you can also enable this dark mode option from the general setting, dark mode. In that way, your member are going to use the same dark mode options of what you have configured inside the color scheme. Like suppose that I'm going to open the website here. We have enabled the dark mode option from there, and colors, and enable clean. So by default they are getting a layout like this one as a clean, and once there's a icon here, like they can quickly toggle to the dark mode anytime and switch back to the light mode like this one. And all the options for the component like group, members, or any template driven pages will be displayed in the same combinations what you have configured there. Suppose that if you want to use there's a pink color for these buttons, then you just have to go to the customizer setting, and inside the dark mode you just have to select the pink color for these buttons. Then in that way all the buttons will be configured as a pink color. So any changes for the color scheme what you are going to do for the dark mode, that will be applied for the dark mode options what you are getting here. So by default you have to keep color scheme clean and make changes to the dark and apply that one. Okay, the next one is I'm going to disable the dark mode. So I think the options what we have created is going to cover all the possible options you are thinking, and if anything is not covered, you can easily use any custom CSS with just inspecting them, or you can contact our support. They can also help with those color custom CSS for those color schemes. Okay, and the next is forms. These are the basic styling which is applied for any form what you are going to create within the website, and you do not have to make any major changes here. These are the just make any forms more interactive and to match with the website color scheme. Okay, next is the background image, which is a default WordPress customizer option. You do not have to do anything there. The next one is the blog. Blog options comes with this one, like you can display blogs as with the right sidebar, left sidebar, both sidebar, or the full width container. And for the blog one, we have three possible views, like default view, thumbnail view, grid view, Missouri view. By default, in the website, we do not have any blog, just one basic blog here. So I'm going to create a couple of blogs with using a tool, FakerPress. It is a plugin which can create a custom post type or any default blog or the pages, and you can easily create 10 or 20 blogs, and you can easily delete them also. After activating the plugin, I'm going to the post section. I'm planning to include 10 blogs, and with the date this week, that is the blog post, allow comment. Just going to keep it a little bit simple using the p tag only. And for the image, I'm going to use the Laura Pixum, so it will have some colorful options. For the attachment, I'm going to use the Laura Pixum generate. So it will create 10 blog posts, and those 10 blog posts have some content area and using some images, plus it will also set the thumbnail images for them. So if I go to the blog section again, or the blog section, so now you can see that it automatically created a couple of blogs here, and I'm going to create a blog page so we can use it for the archive one. Blog publish. By default, we are going to use the default template sections what coming from the theme. Later on, you can also style up these blogs using Elementor widgets as per your design. Okay, now go to the reading settings so we can map the pages here. For the home page, I'm going to use the activity page by default. So we can also create a different home page. We can map it with that one, blog. So the blog page is mapped here. So I'm going to check what changes we are going to have when a blog page is open /blog. So this is the default layout what we are getting for the blog, and inside the customizer there's a thumbnail view. When we are going to apply that one, it will display the thumbnail on the left side, and then the content area will look like this one. So there's a one more grid view. So you are going to call like how many blogs are going to display in a grid. Right now the left sidebar section is enabled, that's why these grids are keep leaving this space. And there's a one more Missouri view, publish. So for the default blog archive, without using any third-party plugin, you are getting these possible layout options. And nowadays most of them are going to use Elementor or any page builder to display their or make their blog section a little bit more interactive. And you can, just to keep the website here fast or efficient, you can also use these default options. Okay, so I think the blog will be clear now. And similar approach we had also offered for the single blog page. Suppose that when someone is opening a single blog, how it will look like. First of all, we are getting the title, some author name or the category, content. After the content area, you are getting the author block, the next or the pagination. So this is the default layout. And we also have a little bit wider layout without sidebar or with sidebar. You can also hide the author info if you do not want to display it. You can also enable the related post if you have to display a couple of blog posts with thumbnail or without thumbnail. There's an option for that one. So in that way you can display your blogs in more better way. So right now the options what I have set there is not going to use the sidebar. So you have a minimal section for the title or the author info, and there is a related post section, and the author wizard is also not displaying there. Okay, so it will give you a little bit more control on the single block page what we are going to display. The next one is the page section. Similar to that one, we have options for the page. We have to display a subheader section or not. We have to display the page title or not. So we have one sample page already, which is coming from the default WordPress. Go to the pages. This is a sample page. So by default, sample page is going to look like this one. And you can enable these options like hide subheader. If you want to display some header, something like this one, so it will look like this one with some sample subheader. The title goes up. There's a breadcrumb here, and you can change these images anytime, like select image or remove image. And just it is to improve the UI of the pages. Publish. So it's completely your call if you're planning to use this subheader section or not. So if this subheader section is disabled, then it will display like a regular page, like with a sample page title on the top. Have to completely disable, not just image. Okay, so it will display like this one, the title and the content area. Okay, so the page options should also be clear now. Now there's one additional thing here, which is not a default thing, is the subheader section. So it's your call. If you want to use it, else you can disable it. For the page, you can set which sidebar is going to use by default. So right now, if you're going to use the both sidebars, so you can also select which sidebar you are going to display on those specific sections for the for all the pages. So any sidebar what you are going to select there, it is going to display there. Okay, like this one. So that should be clear now. So by default, I'm going to use as a no sidebar, or the right sidebar should be enough. The next setting what we have inside the customizer is related to the menus. We had already covered that one, which is coming from the WordPress default. Visit, it is a WordPress default. The home page setting, it is also WordPress default. WP login. Okay, for the WP login page, you can rebrand it as per your call. So you can put a logo there. Okay, once the logo is applied there, so you can set a custom width for it. You can also set a background option for it. It is going to customize how the default WordPress login page look like. So it is about the WP login.php page, like this one. So you can put a width, or you can set a background for the default login page. So by default, I'm keeping the 300 pixel width. Now you can see that based on the width what I have set, the logo image get increased. We can also put a background there. It's completely our call how we are going to display it. Okay, and it is little bit for the more branding purpose. So we had not added too much customization there. It is just a basic customization to make your WP login page little bit more branded to your website, and you do not have to use any third-party plugin just to add a logo on the login page. Okay, the next is the footer section. By default, we have one footer wizard area, so you can use all those visitors to the footer, and you can also include copyright section here. Like by default, we have included a couple of shortcode which will dynamically include the current year and the site title what you have set, and the theme by the theme author. You can alter it or remove it, or you can include any link there. So it will display like this one, like copyright and your website name, and that will link to the home page again. And you can also put a alignment there, left or the right. Okay, and you can also put a padding or the spacing there just to adjust the volume, the space. Okay, so the copyright section is pretty simple. You just have to put any text there, and based on the text what you have included there, it will display them there. Okay, the next one is the footer styling. So you can also customize the footer and taxonomy with the different font collection or the different font styling. And these options are just included to take over all those options without using the third-party plugins. For the BuddyPress point of view, we have a couple of options like how we are going to display the navigation style. So I'm jumping to the BuddyPress focused areas. So if you go to your profile, we have a couple of navigation style there. Like you can see that these are the icon based labels. By default, these icons will be not displayed. It will only going to display all these labels only. From the BuddyPress, we have enabled this vertical layout, and this is coming from the PP Novo settings. So you can set your navigation to display as a vertical or the horizontal view like this one. Once it is horizontal, we have a couple of options here also. This is the swipe navigation, and just going to enable the same option for the group. Okay, now jumping back to the BuddyPress option again. Now you can see that we have member style by label and the icon, so they can also display the icons based on like this one. Same for the group, and for the PP navigation, you can see the text plus icon swipe, or you can only display swipe option without any text like this. It is more better to have some text because everyone is not going to recognize all those icons by their own when you are going to start with your community. So the by default option is the text plus icon. The next one is the BP Novo. These are the default BuddyPress options, not added from the theme. And additional CSS is also a default option, which is going to cover, like suppose that if you have to alter any color scheme, you can include all those custom CSS here. This guide covers all the customizer option what we have included inside the REAN. And currently we are not using any third-party plugin, or just using the BuddyPress. So what additional we are getting on the activity stream using the bundled plugin what we are getting. So the first functionality we are getting is the React one, which is a little bit additional to the BuddyPress. So you can use these React functionalities to control like what exactly they can express their feeling for any activity, and you can control these options from here, reactions. So by default we have enabled couple of emojis here, and you can make these changes like based on which emojis you are planning to use. These are the available set of emojis. You can see that the every page has 20 emojis, so 20 to 10 more than 200 emojis are available there. And based on what emoji set you are going to include here, we have categorized into 3 sections. First is the comment reactions, second is the activity reaction, and third is the post reaction. And each type of reactions based on these activity type can be managed with a different set of emojis. So for the activity reactions, we are using currently these 4 options by default. If you want to use a different option, suppose that instead of this thumb, if you want to use some different option, you just have to drag and drop that option here like this one. Okay, so this option is included here just on the click, and if you want to rearrange them, you just have to make a position like this one, and this is placed. And similar things you can do for the comment one or the blog one. Okay, we are also displaying these reaction option on the blog post. So if you are going to the blog post again and open a single blog, you are also getting this reaction functionality on the single blog like this one. So you can also do a reactions like this one on the every blog, and these reactions are getting counted how many reaction a particular blog has got. Same applied for the activity. So based on how many reactions they have got, it is going to display like who reacted and what reaction they had displayed. It will display a count here, and based on, and also display their names. That same approach is applied on the activity comment reaction and the activity reaction, and that activity could be a activity newsfeed or the group activity. And this plugin also offers two widgets, like which are the most active reactions on the website, which reaction is most used, and you can display those widgets inside the sidebar. Okay, and we also have a reshare functionality, like you can share this activity at your profile inside your active groups. So suppose that I have to post this activity inside this group. In that way, that particular activity what you have reshared, you can see that there's a one count here, one share, and in that way that activity is shared in this group. You can also share this activity at your own personal profile. Okay, and for the blog one, like we had a couple of blogs, you can also share these blogs inside your activity. So suppose that this is the first blog what we have. Let me go with another one which have images. So this blog have images, and I can easily share this blog inside my activity feed. Check this out. And that will be posted on my profile section, and I can also share this blog inside any of my active groups in which I'm the member. And once this blog will be posted in that group, in that activity, it will display like this one. Now you can see this paper and shared activity. Check this out, and it will also give a complete preview of that particular blog post what has been shared here. In that way, you are offering your member to be a little bit more interactive with your blog section, and they can share those blogs inside their activity feed or their groups. And this is the share functionality what we have here. And we also have a social share functionality, so you can enable it from here. So with the BuddyPress share functionality what we are getting here, we can also enable this social share functionality, like enable social share feature, and I can enable a couple of them. Facebook is already enabled. I just have to make sure this component is enabled. Okay, once it is enabled, I have to reload the page to make sure it is start coming here. Now you can see there's a share icon. In that way, I can share this activity to the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or any WhatsApp service. So these are going to cover the functionalities what we are offering with the Rain theme, using reaction, using share functionality, and apart from a complete overview what customizer options you have, how you are going to use them. If you have any concern or questions related to the theme options, or if something is not covering up what you are expecting, you can contact our support section and they are going to help on those things. Thank you.